In March 2026, in a rural region of southern Nigeria where daily life is usually defined by farming, small local markets, and tight-knit community relationships, a military operation uncovered a reality that had remained hidden beneath the surface for far longer than most residents realized. The community of Odonget, located in the Obubra Local Government Area of Cross River State, appeared on the surface to be quiet and ordinary. Modest homes, narrow dirt roads, and dense stretches of vegetation formed a landscape of everyday life. For most people passing through the area, there would have been little reason to suspect that anything unusual was happening. Yet behind that calm appearance, according to Nigerian military authorities, a clandestine operation had been developing, one that was quietly contributing to violence and instability in the surrounding region. The chain of events that ultimately exposed this hidden activity began with what initially appeared to be a relatively common community dispute. In many rural parts of Nigeria, tensions between local groups can emerge for a variety of reasons. Disagreements over land ownership, leadership positions within traditional structures, or long-standing rivalries between communities sometimes create fragile situations that can escalate quickly if they are not managed carefully. In Odonget, according to accounts later shared by security officials, such tensions had begun to intensify. Residents reportedly feared that the dispute could spiral out of control, leading to violence, the destruction of property, or potential loss of life. Concerned about the growing instability, members of the community reportedly contacted security authorities and requested assistance. In response, the Nigerian Army deployed troops to the area. According to information later released by the Army's Director of Public Relations, soldiers from the 13th Brigade, operating under the command of the 82nd Division, were assigned to the mission. Their objective at the outset was relatively straightforward: stabilize the situation, prevent further escalation, and reassure residents that the state remained present and capable of maintaining order. At first, the deployment resembled many other peace stabilization operations conducted by security forces in rural regions. In numerous cases, the presence of trained soldiers alone can be enough to discourage violence. Armed groups that might otherwise be willing to confront rival communities often hesitate when faced with the possibility of direct engagement with military forces. However, in Odonget, the situation developed in a far more unexpected direction. According to a statement later provided by Major Isua, Assistant Director of Army Public Relations, the soldiers were met not with cooperation but with hostility. As the troops began carrying out their mission to calm tensions in the area, a group of armed individuals reportedly launched a surprise ambush against them. Such attacks are rarely spontaneous. Ambushing military personnel typically requires a degree of planning, preparation, and familiarity with the terrain. For security officials, the fact that a group was willing to carry out such an attack suggested that there might be a deeper network operating in the area, one that had both access to weapons and the confidence to challenge government forces directly. The ambush fundamentally changed the nature of the mission. What had started as a peacekeeping deployment immediately transformed into a full security operation. Instead of simply monitoring tensions between local groups, the military now had to locate and neutralize the armed group responsible for the attack. Between March 12th and March 13th, 2026, troops from the 13th Brigade launched what the Nigerian Army described as aggressive clearance operations across the Odonget area. These operations relied on a well-known military strategy commonly referred to as cordon and search. Under this approach, soldiers established a secure perimeter around a targeted area to prevent suspects from escaping while systematically searching buildings, vegetation, and other potential hiding places. The terrain in Cross River State can make such operations particularly challenging. Thick vegetation, scattered rural settlements, and narrow paths that weave through forests often provide numerous places where armed groups can hide or move undetected. Soldiers therefore advance cautiously, conducting fighting patrols and inspecting locations that intelligence sources suggested might serve as hideouts. During these operations, tension in the area remained extremely high. Military patrols moved through the community while simultaneously maintaining vigilance for potential attacks. In an environment where an armed group had already demonstrated its willingness to ambush soldiers, every movement carried an element of risk. Troops had to balance caution with the need to move quickly enough to prevent suspects from escaping. On March 13th, the operation reached a critical moment. According to the official account released by the military, troops eventually made direct contact with the armed group believed to be responsible for the ambush. The encounter quickly escalated into a gun battle. Details of the confrontation remain limited in public reports, but military authorities indicated that the soldiers were able to overpower the attackers due to their superior training, coordination, and equipment. During the exchange of fire, 5 of the armed individuals were killed, according to the Army statement. The remaining members of the group reportedly fled into nearby forested areas, abandoning some of their weapons in their attempt to escape. For the soldiers on the ground, the immediate threat appeared to have been neutralized. The armed group had been dispersed, and the area was once again under military control. But what the troops discovered afterward would prove to be one of the most significant aspects of the entire operation. Following the gunfight, soldiers continued conducting detailed searches of locations where the attackers had been hiding. Their objective was not only to secure the area, but also to identify any infrastructure that might have supported the group's activities. It was during this phase of the operation that the troops uncovered what the Army described as a fully operational illegal weapons manufacturing facility. Hidden within the area, the site contained tools and equipment used to fabricate firearms locally. According to the military report, soldiers recovered 3 AK-47 rifle magazines, 10 completed locally manufactured weapons, and a large toolbox containing specialized instruments used to assemble weapon components. The discovery suggested that the group had not been relying solely on externally supplied weapons. Instead, they appear to have developed the capacity to produce firearms themselves, at least on a limited scale. Locally manufactured weapons are not uncommon in certain parts of West Africa. Small workshops capable of producing rudimentary firearms have existed for decades, sometimes operating within informal economies. In some cases, these workshops manufacture hunting weapons. In others, however, they become part of networks that supply arms for criminal activities or local conflicts. The presence of such a facility within Odonget raised several concerns for security authorities. First, it indicated that the armed group may have been operating in the area for a considerable period of time. Establishing even a modest weapons workshop requires space, tools, and a degree of stability that allows operators to work without constant disruption. Second, the discovery suggested that the workshop might have been supplying weapons used in communal disputes within the broader region. While the exact distribution network remains unclear, authorities indicated that the facility could have played a role in fueling local violence. Faced with this finding, the military decided to dismantle the operation entirely. According to official reports, the soldiers destroyed the illegal weapons facility to ensure that it could not be used again. The structure was burned and the equipment rendered unusable, effectively eliminating what authorities described as a key supply point for illicit firearms in the area. The mission itself was supervised by Brigadier General Patrick Ollie McKenna, the commander of the 13th Brigade. In public statements released after the operation, he praised the professionalism and bravery of the soldiers involved. He also reassured residents that the military would continue conducting patrols to locate the suspects who had fled during the gun battle. Despite the apparent success of the operation, the incident raised several broader questions. One of the most significant concerns revolves around how such a facility could have existed within a community without being reported earlier. Observers have proposed several possible explanations. One possibility is that certain individuals within the community may have been aware of the operation and either supported it or chose not to interfere. In many rural areas, complex networks of loyalty, family ties, and local power structures can sometimes make it difficult for residents to challenge individuals involved in illegal activities. Another possibility is fear. When armed groups operate within close proximity to civilians, intimidation can discourage people from reporting suspicious behavior to authorities. Residents may worry about retaliation if they are perceived as cooperating with security forces. There is also the possibility that the operation was conducted with a high degree of secrecy. Workshops producing weapons on a small scale can sometimes operate in locations that appear ordinary from the outside, making them difficult to identify without specific intelligence. For now, the full explanation remains uncertain. What is clear, however, is that the discovery highlights a broader challenge facing Nigeria's security institutions. Across various parts of the country, the availability of weapons, whether imported illegally or manufactured locally, continues to contribute to cycles of violence. In regions where communal tensions already exist, access to firearms can quickly transform disputes into armed confrontations. Security analysts often emphasize that addressing this problem requires more than military intervention alone. While operations such as the one in Odonget can dismantle specific criminal networks, long-term stability also depends on strengthening local institutions, promoting dialogue within communities, and building trust between citizens and authorities. Community cooperation is particularly important in identifying clandestine activities before they escalate into major security threats. Without information from residents, hidden operations can remain undetected for long periods. At the same time, authorities face the challenge of ensuring that citizens feel safe enough to report suspicious activities without fear of retaliation. For the Nigerian Army, the events in Odonget represent both a tactical victory and a reminder of the complex security environment in which it operates. On one level, the operation successfully neutralized an armed group, uncovered an illegal weapons workshop, and removed a potential source of firearms from a region. On another level, it revealed how deeply hidden some security threats can be, even in communities that appear calm and stable on the surface. Today, life in Odonget is gradually returning to its usual rhythm. Farmers continue working their fields, local traders reopen their stalls, and daily routines slowly reestablish themselves after the tension of military operations and armed confrontation. Yet the events of March 2026 have left a lasting impression. They serve as a reminder that beneath the quiet landscapes of rural communities, complex dynamics can sometimes unfold unnoticed. Dynamics involving conflict, clandestine economies, and the difficult task of maintaining security in regions where state institutions must constantly adapt to evolving challenges. For observers of security and governance, the case of Odonget illustrates a broader reality that extends far beyond a single village in Cross River State. Maintaining peace in vulnerable regions requires vigilance not only from security forces, but also from communities themselves. It requires cooperation, trust, and the willingness to confront threats before they grow into larger crises. The story of this operation is therefore not only about a hidden weapons factory or military response. It is also about the delicate balance between stability and instability that exists in many parts of the world, a balance that depends, ultimately, on the ability of societies to recognize emerging dangers and respond to them together. And as investigations continue and security patrols remain active in a region, the lessons of Odonget may continue to shape how authorities and communities approach the complex task of protecting public safety in the years ahead.